Well, hello there, my fellow rushers. How are you doing today? King Rex here, and today we're continuing on with Kingdom Rush Frontiers hero reviews. Last time we left off at Kutsal, and now we're moving on to another hero that's probably one of my favorites, and you probably have seen him, and you love him too. We're talking about Dante.
I'm the best at what I do.
Indeed you are. He looks pretty cool though. I mean, if I met him in real life, I would be very intimidated by this guy. Like, look at him. He has all these scars, this anger in his face, the blood axe, the freaking gun. It's awesome. He looks pretty sick. I mean, he's called the freaking hunter. And indeed he is. But let's check him out and see if he's actually as strong as his looks are. 500 health, that's a decent amount of health. It's not bad. However, again, no armor. So, if you put him against like really tough enemies like Lycans or what was it called? Brutes, he's not gonna be able to stall them for very long. However, he has a ranged attack, but it takes him a while to recharge. I think it's like every 2 seconds he shoots. So even though it's weird, but before that, his damage is 46 to 68, which is by far the highest in the game as far as numbers go. And fast attack rate, but the thing is that his ranged attack actually shoots every 2 seconds, while his axe is every second, I believe. Basically, when he's in melee combat, he attacks every 1 second, but however, if he's using his weapon, or the gun, the pistol, or revolver, whatever it is, he shoots every 2 seconds. Yeah, that's pretty much how he works. But however, that's not what makes him really interesting. What makes him interesting is his abilities. They're by far one of my favorites in the whole game. Let's jump into them. Starting off with Akimbo Style.
I will vanquish evil. Vanquish evil. Bless me, for I have sinned. I'm the best at what I do.
Alright, and now before we talk about the ability, I want to apologize because the actual attack speed for his gun, or the pistol, is 1.5 seconds, not 2 seconds. My apologies. So yeah, as far as his Akimbo Style goes, it's pretty nutty. It's actually really good. It happens every 15 seconds, so it occurs really often, which is good. And he performs 8 rapid fire attacks, he shoots them pretty fast, and each one of them does 40 physical damage. Keep in mind, physical damage, not true damage or anything, so it's the good old physical damage, but it's pretty decent. It's kind of like his grouped attack in a way, because he can affect multiple enemies with it. And it does a pretty decent amount of damage overall. I really liked. It can also hit flying enemies as well, which, it should have been obvious, but yeah. It's a decent ability, in my opinion. The next one is quite interesting. Silver Bullet.
What I do. Best at what I do. There are many paths to redemption.
Oh yeah, the Silver Bullet, man. This ability is quite nutty. It happens every 18 seconds, so it's a little bit longer than, his first ability, but just a little bit. And it deals 320 true damage. Wowzers. 320 true damage is a lot of damage. You can kill some enemies with relative ease with this ability. It's really nice. However, there's a bit of an issue with it. And the issue is that... No, actually there isn't any. What, you thought this ability was bad? No, it's actually really good. But there's one thing that you may not know about it. And I will not be surprised if you didn't, because I learned that pretty recently. Apparently, this ability, if you use it on a werewolf or a Lycan, it's gonna do double damage. No joke. Yeah, you can check it out. The information is on the wiki, you can check it out if you want to. And it's insane, like, that's 640 true damage, bro. Like, you can just annihilate werewolves with this ability. Even though it's like only single target, it's pretty nice to know that. It's a nice, interesting addition, which I never knew about it until, as I said, recently. So I really love this one. It's pretty nutty ability. The next one is a bit weird but also cool. Holy Grenade.
What I do, there are many paths to redemption. For I am the best at what I do. There are many paths. I will vanquish evil.
And speaking of being in the team, here we have an interesting ability. We have the Holy Grenade. Basically this. Oh no, not this. This one. As you can see, the enemy is silent. Basically, he negates him from activating his special abilities. Or in this case, for the Night Scales being invulnerable. Or invisible in this case. Not invulnerable, but you know. And yeah, it's pretty cool. The thing is that it affects the enemy for 15 seconds. And it has... I believe it was 18 seconds. Which, you know, it's not bad, but... You can almost permanently silence a single enemy, which is pretty cool. I really like this ability. It can help out a lot in the post game, especially where you have a lot of annoying enemies that have, you know, magical abilities. But it's not bad for the main campaign either, you know. You can silence the blue tricksters, the savants, what were they called? Earth shamans, the healers, you name them, or the witch doctor. Sorry, that's his proper name. There's a lot of enemies that have magical abilities, so you just have to find it out for yourself, because there's way too many for me to mention in one video, so let's move on to his next ability, shall we? The next one is quite interesting as well. Relic of Power.
There are many paths to redemption. Vanquish evil, bless, for I am the best at what I do. My soul lingers.
Alright, and now we're getting into some interesting abilities. The cooldown is 15 seconds. Again, he has very similar cooldowns, which is pretty interesting. And basically he removes the armor of the target that he's fighting completely down to 0. Which is pretty interesting, especially if you're fighting some really awful enemies. But however, there's a trick to it. He doesn't remove immunities. What do you mean by immunities? Well, there's only 2 enemies that have immunities. Those are the Phantom Warriors, which are immune to physical damage, and there's also the Blue Gale that's immune to magical damage. So he cannot remove those properties with his Relic of Power. However, any other enemy, it's a fair game, which is pretty cool. Now, the thing is that I didn't mention ghosts, but you know, you can't stall ghosts anyway, so that's the reason why I didn't mention them. But you can do it. Even if you could stall them, he's not gonna be able to remove their immunity either, so yeah. But overall, it's a pretty good ability. It's very nice to have around. And the last one is interesting. Beacon of Light.
For I am the best at what I do. There are many paths to redemption. I will vanquish evil, for I am. I'm the best at what I do.
Well, this is a pretty interesting support ability. Basically, when every unit around him gets 50% extra damage. And that's not bad. Like, as you can see, the reinforcements going from 6 to 10? From 6 to 10 to 9 to 15. And again, the radius is pretty wild. Like, as you can see, he can be pretty much at a pretty good distance behind them, and they're still gonna get the damage boost, which is pretty cool to see. Now, granted, it's only for their basic attacks. He doesn't boost the abilities from the damage. Sorry, the damage from the abilities. I reversed my words there. So yeah, it's a pretty good one. Now, is it an insane ability? I don't think so. But it could be useful if you combine with like some strong units like Templars, that can be a pretty good combo, or even basic reinforcements. So yeah, it's a nice one. And as you saw probably in the last few clips, if he dies, you can still move him around, which is pretty useful, especially on the hard maps, because you don't have to wait for him to respawn in order to start moving. You can just immediately put him in the spot that you want him to be, and when he respawns, he's just gonna be ready to go. It's pretty nice. So yeah, Dante is quite an interesting hero. I'll give him a 9.3 out of 10. He is pretty solid, because he can do one of everything. He has a grouped attack, which is the Akimbo Style. He has single target attack, which is the Silver Bullet. He has some interesting utility in the form of the relic of power, and the Holy Grenade. And he also has a decent support with the Beacon of Hope, or sorry, Beacon of Light. My bad. So yeah, he's a pretty solid hero. Would we recommend him? I would say yes. For $5, I would say he is probably one of the best options out there, at least in my opinion. Now granted, it's up to the player. If you don't like him, then that's okay, but I would say give him a chance. He is a pretty good option. The only thing that he may suck against is when he's in melee. As you can see, he's been in melee for a few seconds and his health is going down quite fast, so you have to, for the most part, you want to keep him away from combat. You want him to keep him behind everybody and let him shoot his pistol or revolver. So yeah, well, that's gonna do it for the video, guys. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I appreciate you for sticking around to the end. Subscribe if you want to see more of this content in the future, and while you're at it, drop a like on the video. It means a lot to me. And I'll see you in the next video. Until it comes, that was King Rexy, over and out.